Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rangers Journal. My name is Doug. I'm here tonight with a special guest, Filip, who is coming to us from the Twitter ROFTBL. Filip talks about Romanian football, all things Romanian football, which suddenly we have an interest in due to the rumours linking Rangers with Albion Rrahmani. So first of all, I just want to welcome you to the show, Filip. Thanks for taking the time out to be with us today. Do you want to just say hi to the viewers and tell them a little bit about your Twitter page and the stuff you do?
Yeah, thanks, Doug. I'm happy to be here. I just run my page to sort of give updates on the results, young prospects, and transfers, things like that, with involving Romanian football. So I try to cover most areas of Romanian football, but I think I do a good enough job. But we'll see what you've got in store for me today.
Yeah, well, I've had a look over the page myself. It's definitely good stuff in there. So if anyone does have interest in finding out more about then I definitely recommend you go over there. So again, it's at ROFTBL on Twitter. You can find his stuff there. But tonight we're going to be talking a little bit about Albion Rrahmani, who's a player that has been linked with Rangers recently. So just a little bit of background about Rrahmani. So he's a 23-year-old Kosovan player. He started off in his home country. He was a team called Balkani, who he played for about 2 years. Played about 50 games with them, with about 24 goals, and picked up a couple of league titles and a Super Cup there as well. His good play there got him onto the sights of Rapid Bucharest, who purchased him in August of 2023. I believe on a 3-year deal, and he was given the number 9, and they paid, I believe, 600,000 euros for him. So that's where Filip's expertise come in. So I just want to open up by saying, in general, overall, how has he performed? How has he performed with Rapid, and how Rapid been doing with him as a team?
Sure, Doug. So I would start by saying that Rapid, basically a few years ago, they went bankrupt and they restarted in the 4th division. Actually, kind of similar story to Rangers, I guess you could say.
You can feel that pain, yeah.
Yeah, so that was difficult for a lot of fans because they have a massive, very passionate fan base and one of the biggest Romanian clubs in history as well. So they've definitely felt that, but their return has been spectacular. And when they returned to the top division, top flight, they were actually bought as well. And they have a new owner who's been investing quite a bit. And he's actually been providing a lot of the transfer funds. So they've been making some astute transfers, I would say, for the Romanian league level at least. And and they've been investing in facilities, everything like that. So they've got a good project, I would say. A lot of talent from Kosovo that they've been looking at as well. And there's also Krasniqi. I don't know if you know him, who was at Cluj as well. And so with Rrahmani, I would say he's been doing extremely well. Like you said the earlier to me, he's sort of like the Kosovar Liwa, Lewandowski. And essentially, I can agree with that comparison because he's a very complete striker. Even though he's tall, he's got very good technique and good link-up play. I'd say he's also a good finisher, even though he's missed, some opportunities. But his numbers speak for themselves, right? I mean, he's got like 20 goals this season with Rapid and 5 assists. So very impressive numbers, even though I think he could polish them up a bit. But as I said, complete striker, tall but very mobile. So that's what I've got to say about it.
Yeah. Sounds good. I'm sure Rangers fans will be happy with the idea they're getting the next Lewandowski. So that would be perfect if that's the case. You touched on, so you said that he's got some things to improve on. If you were to sort of pick out 2 key strengths for him, and maybe then one thing that you think he needs to work on the most, what would you say those things were?
I would say maybe his heading, and maybe like long passing. It's not as important for his role, but maybe long passing. Because I think otherwise he doesn't have many very glaring weaknesses, I would say. Um, like I said, very complete striker, uh, a very rare profile for a number 9 nowadays. So I think that's why he's attracted a lot of interest because he's got that full profile. So maybe polishing
Definitely.
up maybe just polishing up the finishing sometimes. Like I said, he is a good finisher, but sometimes he isn't as consistent with it as he could be. Even though his numbers are amazing, which I know sounds crazy, but he still could have even more based on the opportunities he's had. So, just polishing that up, I think, a bit.
Cool. Okay, doke. That's grand. And you mentioned there, obviously the Lewandowski reference. How do you feel like, in terms of the progression you've seen in him, where do you think his ceiling could lie in terms of his future?
I mean, I would definitely like to see him on a higher level first, but even in Conference League matches, he showed some. He scored goals and he showed some quality performances. So I think it's a good step to go to Rangers because Rangers are actually competitive in Europe, and like in Europa League, they reached the semifinals, I think, a couple of years ago, and
the final.
Sorry, the final. Yeah. It was unfortunately they lost, right? And
yes, sadly.
And Hagi was injured as well and all that. But anyways, that's another topic. But my point is, Rangers is a very good club for him, I think, to progress and develop more and really challenge himself against some of the best in the Champions League and Europa League. So I think we'll see the real test when that comes. But I think he has all the tools to get there. He just has to be determined enough to make it, I think. And I think he has that fire in him. So I believe he can reach. I don't know if I can say Lewandowski level because that's a very high bar for now, but he can definitely be a very special player in Scotland at the very least. Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good. You mentioned that he's got that fire, and he's obviously said he won a few trophies beforehand. Does he strike you as a player who's very driven? Is he, does he look like he's the type of guy that really wants to win games and win trophies?
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's Cristiano Ronaldo driven, but he's still I would say, fairly determined. He has, you can see the passion in his eyes and when he celebrates and how hard he works as well in the matches. So I think he strikes me as a fairly determined lad. So yeah, I think he'll be chasing those trophy dreams as well.
Cool. Well, you'll fit right in that case. That's perfect. Obviously, in terms of like going for trophies, and I know that certainly coming to Rangers, he'll be under huge pressure to do that, particularly in the recent times, and we've not won as much as we would like. Is there a lot of similar pressure playing at Rapid? Does he strike you as the type of guy who can handle, like, be under high pressure every single weekend?
I would say yes, because I mean, Rapid has a very huge fan base, and even though their stadium is somewhat smaller, it's packed to the rafters every game, and they have a huge influence on the game. I would say that's why they had such a long streak of not losing at home. So I think he's pretty decent at handling the pressure. He's had a few caps for Kosovo as well, although he didn't get that much playing time. He wasn't a starter, I think. Although the Kosovo fans were wondering why, because they thought he should get that chance. But in any case, I think he does have what it takes to handle the pressure, even though Rangers are a step above, I would say, for sure, in terms of, a larger fan base than even Rapid, even though they are quite big for Romania. I think Rangers are another level as well. So, but I do believe in him. I believe he can handle it based on what I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah. We touched on European football there. You said obviously he's played a bit in the Conference League, and you said you see him potentially thriving in those higher levels. Do you think he'll also look beyond Rangers as well? Is he going to want to potentially play in the Premiership, or go to that next step?
I think just one step at a time, obviously, but I think eventually, yeah, he could reach those levels. I wouldn't say like maybe a top 6 club, at least not yet. Just wait and see. But I think there's a good chance we could see him in the top five leagues. Yeah.
Cool. On the wee intro there, I mentioned that he was about 600,000 euros. I think it was the Rapid paid for him, and the rumours seem to be around about the 6 million point for what Rangers are potentially bidding. Do you think, in the time that he's been at Rapid, does that seem like a fair jump in his valuation? Are Rangers going to be getting a good deal for that money?
Oh yeah, I think that's a very good deal. I think you'll be able to sell him for triple or more. Yeah, over a couple of years, I believe he'll hit the ground almost running the way he did at Rapid, right, from the Kosovar league, where there's you might have doubts from there, but then he hit the ground running in Romania as well, and I just think he's not intimidated by anything. So I think he'll do well. Yeah, and honestly, Rapid got him for a steal as well, as I said. So I think in the same way, Rangers will get him for a very decent price, I would say, considering how much his value can increase at the higher levels, right, with the more European experience. Yeah.
Cool, perfect. And Dustin, obviously, he's sort of turning more heads than just ourselves. I believe I've seen Aston Villa and clubs like Benfica and Napoli all rumoured to have had an interest. Have you heard anything else yourself in terms of other clubs that are potentially interested in him?
Yeah, I think a while back there was, you think even Werder Bremen in Germany. There was Slavia Prague. I believe. Oh no, sorry, Sparta. I think Sparta Prague.
Okay.
In Czech Republic. So yeah, I know Slavia don't have a good relationship with Rangers, given that match, how that went, and the racism and all that. But no, it's actually the rival Sparta Prague. So. But I haven't heard any updates since then. I've heard there was the interest, but I haven't heard anything more than that. So, but he did follow, I think, a restaurant in Glasgow. So,
yeah, I saw that. That caused a fervor. Yeah, always. Do you have any sort of hunches yourself on what he might prefer in terms of his next step? Do you think Rangers will be a draw to him in comparison to teams like Villa or Benfica?
It might be difficult to turn down Villa, especially in the current level they're at. But their European exploits, and even in the Prem, they've done very well. But at the same time, that might be a very big jump and more competition for him, right? He wouldn't play as much. Whereas Rangers is a step up over Rapid and even over Sparta Prague. I think it's a better level than both of those. But he'll also have more chances to start. I think he'll be a starting player as well.
Cool. Okay. One other thing I was going to ask there as well, obviously, Rapid's new manager also has a Glasgow connection. Do you know
the wrong side?
Yes, unfortunately. Have you heard anything since that appointment, since Neil Lennon's appointment, that could potentially alter the trajectory of Rrahmani? Would he want to keep him? Would he have the opportunity to, or would that be over his head? Or do you think that could change anything at all?
You know what? I didn't put too much thought into that, but that's actually a good point, because maybe he'd want to make Rangers pay a bit more.
Add an extra line. Yes.
Yeah, but I think he'll accept a reasonable amount, like you said, 6 million or something like that, because that still is significant money for the Romanian league, and he can reinvest that elsewhere in the squad. So I think Rangers can make it happen for sure. Yeah.
Perfect. That music to my ears. Okay, look, I know you'll need to be away shortly, so I'll not keep you for too much longer. But I thought, while I've got you here as well, we'll just maybe have a quick word on Ianis Hagi, obviously the famous Romanian currently at Rangers, but looks like he might be leaving. Do you have any thoughts on Ianis at the moment? How he's had a bit of a tough year. He didn't get to feature much on his loan spell, but with the Euros coming up, what are your kind of hopes for him moving forward?
Yeah, I think like every Ranger fan, I'm sure also knows this as well, but he's such a hot and cold player. You don't know what he's going to turn up as, right? He could be incredible one day and the next he's just invisible. So that's the problem with him. He's very inconsistent. And it's a shame because I love his attitude and he's a great person, and he's shown a lot of love towards Rangers, I think, towards Rangers fans in particular. I know he loves the club, but the problem is, with that after the injury, he struggled very much to get game time and not just at Rangers, but even on loan. So I think he needs some kind of reboot in his career, I think, at this point. But I'm also still hopeful a bit at the Euros because I consider him a wild card. He might turn up, he might not, but I'm hopeful that he will. So, yeah. And we know what his creativity can do to against tight back lines. Very generally good at unlocking them, but again, it depends on which Ianis Hagi turns up. So we'll see.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I'm a huge fan of him myself. I think he's a great wee player, and he could certainly offer more to us, I think. However, unfortunately, it looks like you say, it looks like he's going to try and get a refresh. So I think I'll be supporting Romania in the hopes that he does amazingly, and that puts his value up even further. But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us this evening, Filip. As I said to everyone earlier on, if you do have any interest in Romanian football, you want to find out a bit more, then please visit Filip's Twitter page at ROFTBL, and you can get all the most up-to-date Romanian news. So just remains for me to say thanks very much for coming on, Filip.
All right. Cheers, man. Thanks, Doug.
Okay, thanks very much.